The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
And hello, everybody. Welcome inside a brand new Thursday episode of Running Point on YSNLive.com. Brought to you, as always, by our good friends in the top right-hand corner of the screen right there, Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you, so you don't have to. And we try to do the same here on this show every single day. And one of the ways we do that, of course, is our player profiles, coaches' corners, highlighting the great people that we have in the YSN family. Today is no different. We have a great show for you, and it is going to feature a player profile from Grace Knight of United Girls Basketball. Great conversation with Grace, and senior that feels like she's been there for 6 or 7 years. I think I say that in the interview because she's made an impact for so long. It's one of those players that, you're like, oh my gosh, she's a senior, but it feels like she's a 6-year senior going into her graduate year or something like that you see in college all the time, because she's just been a mainstay and a name that we've been saying for a long time. So it's a great interview. Can't wait to share it with you guys, and that'll come at the second half of the show. Of course, we're going to recap last night, preview tonight, all that fun stuff that we always do on Running Point as well. Going to be a good show. Brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Let's hop into that scoreboard on YSNLive.com. You know the drill. You know how we do it here on the show. The scoreboard on YSNLive.com is brought to you by Brunette Pools, Spas, and Hot Tubs. This is a great tool for the YSN fans, whether you are at one of the games or watching one of our broadcasts, or maybe even both. We hope you're doing both, because that would be a great use of your time. You don't want to look away for too long, and the YSN scoreboard is a great and easy way for you to find live updated scores of your favorite teams across the YSN family. It could be your rival, could be your friends, whatever it may be. You can check the YSN scoreboard. It is live updated. We have a great team behind the scenes that does a lot of hard work to make sure this scoreboard is as live updated as possible, which means you don't have to wait until midnight for final scores to come in. You can find the scoreboard at ysnlive.com/scores. And it is presented by Brunette Pools, Spas, and Hot Tubs. Let's crack into last night, Wednesday, January 17th, our latest slew of games. And we start with Ashtabula St. John falling to Conneaut. Final score there, 63-36. Spartans get the win in Ashtabula County. Alliance and West Branch meeting for the second time this year in the EBC. Chloe Dennison goes off on Alliance this time around. A great night for her shooting. Sophie Gregory, obviously, a great night as well. That's a commonplace. Interviews with both those girls can be found at ysnlive.com on the story. Ty Bartel did a great job on the call. And West Branch rolls to another EBC win. They are still perfect in the conference. Final score there was 59-35. Archbishop Hoban hit the road last night. They went to Walsh Jesuit, and they were able to get a pretty handed win by the final score there of 56-35. Hoban all over Walsh. No problems for the Knights there. Howland and Boardman doing battle in the AAC, and it's another kind of come from behind victory for Boardman. They were able to surge ahead from trailing at halftime, and they beat the Tigers 60-52, despite Alyssa Masucci dropping 24 points for the Tigers. They just could not get enough offense to make up for Boardman's, tenacious defense in clutch times, and also ways to find clutch times to find ways to score for this Boardman offense. Mackenzie Riccatelli, a lot of people talking about her. She is 4 points away from 1,000 career points, and they have Canfield coming to Spartyville on Saturday. Boardman has already beaten the Cardinals once, so Canfield's out for revenge, and Mackenzie Riccatelli just 4 points away from 1,000, and it's going to be very, very difficult, and I would say near impossible for for Canfield to keep her from that milestone. So if you're a Riccatelli fan, a Boardman fan, or whatever it may be, or just a member of the community, make sure to go out and see a great milestone for a great player that has meant a lot to that whole Boardman basketball program for a long time now. So 4 points shy, 4 points away, Saturday. 2:30, I believe, is your tip time for varsity against Canfield. We'll go on to the next one in the OVAC. It was a matchup between Southern and East Liverpool, and the Potters were in control for a long time, and then all of a sudden, a girl we know well, Ashley Schroeds, decided that she needed to step up and scored a lot of her 24 points in the fourth quarter, trying to surge Southern Local back. They had a chance to tie the game with the buzzer going off. Unfortunately for the Indians, it did not go, so they could not complete the comeback. East Liverpool hangs on 46-44, a very balanced offense. 3 different girls with 6 points, as Kinsey Headley and Kinsey Walker both had 6, and so did Reagan Edwards. They were led by Denasia Andrews with 11. So you look at that offense when it's humming like that, and they have multiple players scoring from multiple places. That's always hard to defend. We say that all the time here on Running Point when we're talking about basketball. Anytime you have multiple players scoring, that's just a really hard offense to stop. It's sometimes even better than having your one superstar that scores 24 points. Obviously, last night it was better. Southern had that one superstar that scored 24. Alyssa Schroeds scored 11. And outside of that, the Schroeds girls combined for 35 of Southern's 44 points. The Indians, I think, going forward, I think Coach Skinjar knows this. They just need more contributions from the other players. I mean, it doesn't have to be a Herculean effort. It doesn't have to be everyone scoring 10 a game, but they need something. They need a little bit of life from the players not named Schroeds in this lineup, because you can't have 2 girls score all but 9 of your points and then hope to go on the road and beat a really good East Liverpool team that's above 500, by the way. You're just not going to do it. It's tough. So they're going to try to work on that. They still have plenty of time to tighten the screws before tournament time. Southern Local right back at it tonight at home against Wellsville. East Liverpool is going to stay at home. They have another big EOAC team coming to Potterville, into the Potter Fieldhouse on Saturday, 11 a.m., an early morning start. United traveling to East Liverpool. That should be a really good game. Because remember, Southern beat United, right? So if East Liverpool can manage that, then maybe they can manage United. I think it's a different matchup. It causes different issues. United's size might play a bigger role against East Liverpool than Southern did. Southern was much more of a shooting from the outside, and then Ashley Schroeds kind of a pull-up jumper from anywhere. But the size for Southern Local, not necessarily an issue for East Liverpool. But then you bring in Addie Blazer and Grace Knight into the town, and that might cause a little bit of an issue for East Liverpool. So matchups are different, but I think East Liverpool can play on that level for sure. They proved that last night against the Indians. That's why it should be a fun one on Saturday morning. A little Saturday morning action to get you ready for NFL wildcard weekend. I should say divisional weekend. We go back in the AAC. Canfield gets the win. They're kind of trying to keep pace And they will have a big one coming up against Boardman on Saturday. We already talked about that. Canfield wins 61-33. The Cammies, they combined for 35 points, 18 and 17. Cammy Dill leads with 18. Cammy Ritz has 17. So big offensive output from both of those players. Carly Fleming had a big day for Canfield as well, and they rock the Raiders by the final score is 61-33. All Canfield in that one. An old school rivalry in Youngstown going down as Cheney traveled to Youngstown East, and the Bears get the win over Alyssa Brown, who's one of the best freshmen in the area. East gets the last laugh, 44-37, the final score there. We move on to the next final that came through, and it was Berkshire and Grand Valley, 46-41. Grand Valley gets the win in this game. And this was one where we saw a pretty bad injury on Berkshire's side. So we want to make sure that we send our thoughts to that player for a speedy recovery. We know we had to take a pretty long commercial break, long enough for people to send us messages saying, hey, why are we on a commercial break? They probably didn't know that a girl got injured. EMS had to come to town. It was not a fun experience to be in, but even though Berkshire's not a YSN family school, we love all of the athletes that play in the state of Ohio and beyond. So we send us the deepest thoughts and good wishes and prayers and good vibes to that player who's dealing with a situation that she never thought she'd have to deal with this year. So hope you have a speedy recovery and hope all goes well for her and the Badgers team for the rest of the year. They do fall to Grand Valley 46-41, the final. Remember, Lakeside and Euclid got canceled, so did Wyndham and Badger. So they are not unreported. They're just, they got canceled because of the weather. Warren JFK did travel to Mogador and get the win, 66-56. Final score there. Eagles continue to be impressive this season, and the offense continues to be one of the best in YSN. When you look at their average, another game above 60, almost to 70. They've had multiple 70-point games this year. So that JFK offense is not to be messed with at all. We go into the last score that came in last night. 47-32. Carrollton gets the win over Salem. The Warriors handle the Quakers at home. Quakers, tough road trip for them, but Carrollton, a really good girls basketball team. The boys Badger Wyndham game was also canceled yesterday. So the only boys final that was going to come in from yesterday was canceled. So that'll do it for our recap section of this scoreboard. And since it was a slower night, not as many games, we can kind of talk about some of the things that are going on in the YSN family after last night's finals. And one of them that we can see, Wednesdays are dedicated to EBC action, right? So there were a lot of other EBC games that went down, outside of the YSN family. We only cover West Branch and Salem, of course. But when you look at the EBC and you look at the fact that West Branch is playing so well in it, I think it's a testament because we came into this season and we were expecting West Branch to have that kind of year where they were going to be really hard to beat in the EBC. But I think there were people that thought, it was Alliance's year to make a run maybe and give them a hard time. Carrollton was a team that a lot of people were talking about. It was an EBC that was going to see a little bit of a changing of the guard. I think people thought into the season they kind of saw on the horizon that Marlington was a little bit down. They lost a lot of players from last year, still had Chelsea Evanich, so you never looked past them. But at the same time, you didn't think they were maybe the caliber of, the past Dukes teams. Salem in the same boat. They lost a lot of really talented seniors last year. What were they going to bring to the table? It was almost that time when you thought maybe Alliance, maybe Carrollton was going to rise up and maybe challenge West Branch for an EBC. But so far, it has not been the case. West Branch has handled every league team with really relative ease. There have been a couple of games where it's been close for like 2 quarters. Remember, West Branch had that stretch where they were not a first half team. And for about 5 or 6 games in a row, it felt like every halftime score that came in was West Branch up by 2, or West Branch tied, or West Branch down by 1, something like that, something very close. And then all of a sudden we'd see the final and it would be West Branch wins by 19, West Branch wins by 21. So they were definitely a second half team for a little bit of a stretch there. They've snapped out of that, obviously, with a dominant performance last night against Alliance. But this West Branch team had a little bit of a hiccup in the non-conference with a couple of games in a row. Canfield and Olmsted Falls, no shocker there. Those are 2 very good basketball teams. But, when that happened, I think they had a little bit of a awakening where they realized that the schedule was not built for an undefeated season. Walter Shields actually built this schedule because he knew this is a team that probably could have a chance to make a run at not just regionals, but a run at state. He really felt that. I feel that still. I think West Branch is still a team that can absolutely go into Barberton if they win a district and win the regional at Barberton. They have everything you need. They have a good post player in Olivia Showalter that can dominate the paint. They have a great point guard that is really hard to defend because of her size and her athleticism, and Sophia Gregory. They have good shooters in Audrey Eaton and Chloe Dennison. They have that wild card in Carter Shepard, who was kind of one of the players that was missed the most. She had a little bit of an injury, missed a couple of games in a row, and that was when West Branch went on that little skid. I think Carter Shepard was a player that people didn't really understand how much she meant to the team until she was gone. But she brings more size because she is a big body in there, but 2, just some versatility. She can get in the high post. She can drive from there. She can definitely knock down perimeter shots if she has to. And she's big enough that you can post her up if you need to. So that versatility was a really big key to their offense. And now that they have her and everything's going good again, things are looking up for West Branch. And I think West Branch is a team that is going to run away with the EBC. I think that's been locked down. Alliance is probably the one that you thought might be the biggest contender. They've taken care of them twice. They have Carrollton left. I think that's the last team maybe holding on to a mathematical hope. But West Branch is going to probably run away with this EBC. And then you look at what they can do in the tournament. And I'm looking at the district, and I know Norton's in there. I know Norwayne's always going to be good. I know, Canal Fulton Northwest, obviously. In the region, obviously, St. V's. There's a lot of good teams. Laurel got back up to Division II this year, but I think West Branch has a really solid chance to go into Division II and make a lot of noise, getting into Dayton maybe, and who knows. West Branch is a team that's been there before, and I'll never count Coach Walt DeShields out when he has a team that looks like the one we're looking at now. AAC, when we talk about that conference, obviously that belongs to Wednesday too. Most of those conference games happen on Mondays and on Wednesdays and Saturdays. That one's as wild as we all expected. There have been no one that stands out as dominant. Fitch has a couple of wins, obviously, but they haven't been dominant wins. I'm looking at the standings right now, and it's Fitch in the lead. Fitch is undefeated in the conference at 3-0. Boardman now 2-1. Howland in third at 1-1. Canfield's 1-2, and Warren Harding's 2-3. So you look at that and you think, wow, Fitch, a close win against Boardman. Obviously, they beat Canfield as well. What can Fitch do in the rest of the AAC? I don't think people thought they were the front runners, really, which is a testament to Coach Horacek, because man, what I love about Fitch when I'm watching them is they don't have the superstar. They don't have that player that's averaging 20 points per game and lighting up the scoreboard. They have a lot of different players that just do things good. I'm not saying other teams don't, but Boardman and Howland and Canfield all have that one player that you say, okay, you got to circle them a couple of times. With Canfield, it's Cami Ritz. With Howland, it's Alyssa Masucci. With Boardman, it's Mackenzie Riccatelli. Fitch, it's like, who do you really circle? Maybe Destiny McCullough, definitely you circle her. But if you circle her too much, Ayla Ray, has 11.8 points per game. Kylie Folkwine's back and getting back into basketball shape. Sam Severn, Kellyanna Ray. Who do you really take away where you say, if we take that person away, then their team is going to be kind of playing with one hand behind their back? I don't think there is one girl on that Fitch team that you do. I think you just have to guard everybody, and that's what makes them tough. Now, on the other hand, there might be a situation where they miss that takeover mentality. Mackenzie Riccatelli has kind of had a couple of games this year where she has just been in takeover mode. We saw her in the Holiday Hoops Classic at South Range score 22 of Boardman's 29 points. That was just Mackenzie Riccatelli being special. Alyssa Masucci has done that for Howland. Cami Ritz has won on a buzzer beater for Canfield. So you do sometimes want that kind of player. You want that, I'm just going to take over the game. I'm going to be that scorer. I'm going to just go and win us the whole thing. So maybe that could come back to bite Fitch. But I think when you're talking big picture, and you're talking multiple game success and being consistent with it, I would much rather have a team that is just built of girls that are just doing their part. They don't have anything that they do amazingly, star-studdedly, unbelievably well. They don't have that girl that's averaging 16, 17 points per, but they don't need it because they have, 4 or 5 girls that are averaging at least 6. That's all you need. That evens out. You have one girl that's averaging 20, and then you have, 2 or 3 girls that are averaging 8. That's advantage to the team that has 2 or 3, right? That's 24 points. If you have 3 girls averaging 8 points a game, that's 24 from them. If you have one girl averaging 20 and the rest of your players are averaging, under 5, what do? Right? Now Boardman, one of the reasons why they're really coming on is because when they have succeeded, they've had complementary players score. They've had Sarah Barrow score, right? They've had Sam Dubel score. So that's what's really going well in Boardman when they're going the right way. Same thing with Canfield. They have Cami Dill and Cami Ritz, but when they're really succeeding, they're finding their Grace McQuistons. They're finding their Carly Flemings, who had a great game last night against Warren Harding. So which one of these AAC teams can take a huge step for the rest of the conference play? There's still a lot of games to be played. I'm looking at this Canfield Boardman game on Saturday, and I'm saying, Canfield this needs it, right? I don't know if Canfield could come back from a third AAC loss. The way that Fitch is playing and the way that Boardman's playing, and even a Howland in there, you don't want all 3 of those teams with 2 games up on you, right? You just don't. So I think Canfield needs this win very badly, and Boardman's going to get Canfield's everything. Like, I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, like, Canfield better come into Boardman on Saturday afternoon and everything they got going into this game. This is pretty much Canfield's last chance if they want an AAC. I do not see them winning the conference if they fall to Boardman on Saturday. Now, Boardman's going to have a lot of energy too because they're superstars going for a milestone, and it is really hard to emotionally gear up after your opponent hits a milestone, right? We've seen a lot of teams get a lot of energy from that moment, and Boardman also coming off a really big win over Howland. Like, that's a really good win. When you are able to survive Alyssa Masucci being at her best, scoring 24, that's a big win for Boardman. So I'm really excited to see what they can do. Round 2 between Canfield and Boardman. It was a great one the first time around in Canfield. What's gonna happen this time around in Boardman? All gonna see. Can't wait for that. That's on Saturday. And before we get to Saturday, we have 2 more days of really good basketball. Girls tonight, boys tomorrow. We will preview tonight's games, and we'll also have a player profile from Grace Snyder United on the other end of this commercial break. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
now you can see every school, to the smallest school, to the intermediate schools, to the schools in the outlying areas. It gives you coverage that you could just never get to before. It's something that's great to experience, and it's opened up a whole new wave of sports viewership. The possibilities are endless here at YSN. Push the envelope every day. Try something new. If it works, great. If it doesn't, well, let's try another angle, and we just keep moving forward. My name is Mike Ackelson, and my sports network is your sports network.
What can you do on over 5,000 acres? At Mill Creek Metro Parks, you can discover unique habitats and wildlife, create memorable family moments, experience history, heritage, and park programs, explore scenic landscapes, take time to relax and be well, connect with nature and each other. Come see what's new at Mill Creek Metro Parks. Plan your trip now at millcreekmetroparks.org.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means taking care of our local customers.
And it's just a great feeling to put them in a vehicle and get them all excited about a new vehicle.
At the end of the day, our goal is to be someone our customers can count on.
And every day I'll go the extra mile for the community so they can trust us.
To do anything that would convenience the customer or make them feel more at home.
Realizing, number one, that we're here for them and that we're not going to go away.
That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Welcome back to Running Point, brought to you by those people you just heard from, the good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every single day, and we thank Greenwood for their constant support of Running Point day in and day out, and everything else that we do at YSN. They're a great sponsor. We couldn't do anything that we do on the network without sponsors like Greenwood. So we thank them, and we go into our player profile section of the show. Grace Knight from United, a senior, like I said in the top of the show, feels like she's been there forever because we've been saying Grace Knight's name ever since she stepped on the floor. Made immediate impact for this program, was never ever once phased by the lights of varsity ever since she stepped on as a freshman. She might say that her confidence wasn't at an all-time high her freshman and sophomore season, but you wouldn't have been able to tell that on the floor. I mean, she just came on, and it was a name that you had to know right from the start when she started out her freshman year. So what a great player, that's meant a lot for that program for 4 years. Can't believe it's senior now. Feels like it's been senior for a couple of years, to be honest. She's a great leader and a great interview. It's on ysnlive.com, and it's called Welcome to the Night's Watch. I have been watching Game of Thrones over again, so maybe that influenced that name of that title. I don't know, maybe a little bit. We try to get fancy every now and then and come up with creative titles for these player profiles. Sometimes they're influenced by what I'm watching in pop culture at the time that I name them. Great interview with Grace Knight. Here it is, player profile on Running Point. United girls basketball player profile. I'm joined by Grace Knight. Grace, how are we doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Here we go. Grace Knight, feels like we've been saying your name for 7 years at United because you've been on the floor for so long. But this is kind of the last go around. What's it been like doing it for the last time and going through all the emotions that the last year brings?
It's been such a good season, and I'm so lucky to have an opportunity where I've been doing this for the past 4 years, and it doesn't really feel real that this is my last season, but here we are and going to make the most of it.
Yeah, has it sunk in yet? Like you said, it doesn't feel real. Has it kind of hit yet that it's your last year?
Not at all. I don't think it's going to hit until that last game, until that buzzer sounds. So
when you think about all the stuff that you've done in the last 4 years, obviously, you kind of made an immediate impact on this team. What are some of your reflections and some of the things that you look back on and say that you're really proud that you were able to accomplish?
Definitely winning our 2 EOAC championships. I wouldn't have done it without my former teammates and my teammates currently. It's just really proud to look back and say that we've had that. We've been able to win those.
All the experiences. I don't think there's too many things that can happen in a basketball game that you haven't been through. How much of that have you leaned on this year? You know, you're a senior leader, you're trying to lead the team, and you're trying to put the program in a spot to succeed after you graduate. How much of your past experiences have you leaned on this year?
Definitely very situational stuff. Just having that experience on the court, having 4 years of that when some of my teammates only have 3 or 2, I feel like it helps a lot more during games when stuff's going on and like staying calm. Definitely.
We know this is not the first year that you were one of the leaders on the team. I mean, you kind of have been a leader. You've been an impact. You've been a statistical leader for a long time. But, senior year, you always have a little bit more responsibilities put on your shoulder. You're asked of more leadership. How do you prepare for that? How did you kind of get yourself in the right mindset to say, okay, I've been a leader, but now I have to step it up even more this senior year?
Definitely as being a captain on our team this year and knowing that all the freshmen, sophomore, and like even some of the juniors, like they look up to you. They look up to you at practice. They see, oh, if you're doing this, then it's okay to do this. And definitely like having that mindset, you can't be as lenient with stuff as you were in the past. Like no, like messing around and stuff. I mean, there's a time and a place, but just having a control on practice and knowing people are looking up to you.
How would you define your leadership qualities? Like if you had to define yourself as a leader, how would you define it?
Definitely, I'm not the most vocal on the court. I feel like that's more of our point guard's role, but definitely by hard work and just going after it, even in practice and games. I won't say a lot to you, but you can look at me and be like, yeah, she's putting in the work, so I'm going to put in the work too.
People that just watch the basketball games might not get this because you've been an impact, like I said, since you stepped on the floor pretty much. But you have grown a lot since your freshman year. You have grown a lot as a player, grown a lot as a person. When you look back at freshman Grace Knight, what are some of the biggest changes that you see in yourself, not just as a player, but as a person too?
Definitely confidence. As a freshman, you're playing with 18-year-olds, you're playing with 17-year-olds. And just being scared to have the ball in your hands. And I feel like as a senior, like I want the ball in my hands now. Like I want to take control of the game. But definitely as a freshman and sophomore, I was definitely lack that and try to get the balls out of my hand as quick as possible sometimes in different situations.
What were some of the big things that gave you that confidence, that made it grow in you throughout the years? What were some things that made that spark inside you?
Definitely help with my coaches and scoring a lot. As soon as I see the ball go through the basket, I'm like, okay, like I got this, like it's going good. So I'd say definitely that.
You said earlier that, you understand that people are looking up to you now. They're looking at you. They're looking at how you work, for an example. What's that been like, shifting from, like we said, freshman and sophomore, you definitely made an impact on the team, but you weren't the most confident. Now all of a sudden you're a role model and you're the one that people want to be like when they grow up.
It definitely feels good, but it also comes with a lot of pressure because if you do have one of those bad games, you're just thinking, oh, I don't want people to see me as that kind of player. But it's nice pressure to have. You know what I mean?
United Girls Basketball has a long tradition of winning, so I'm sure there's a lot of people to choose from. But when you were growing up, who were some of your role models that you said, I want to be like that when you get into the varsity level?
Definitely, I think the two seniors that had the most impact on me were our seniors last year, were Maddie Kibler and Taylor Cope, because they have been playing long as well on our team. They've been playing since they were probably freshmen, and that was probably my biggest role models out of all the seniors I've had.
When seniors that you're that close to, and I know you were close to both those girls, when they graduate and you have to do a season kind of without them, what has that been like for you, trying to navigate, a season without Maddie and without Taylor?
It's definitely been hard to adjust because that took away one of our ball handlers and our post players. So we definitely had to adjust into some plays and everything like that. But we've been working around it, and it's been going pretty good.
What were some personal goals you set this year that you wanted to see accomplished from yourself preseason? You're saying to yourself, I want to get this done before the end of the season.
One of my biggest goals is to score 1,000 points. I'm on the track to do that, and that's been my main goal. Looking forward to is just getting my points. But I'd say another goal is definitely just be a team leader and help us win another championship.
We talk to a lot of people that get close to those 1,000 points, and they all handle it differently. Some of them like to count every point and know exactly where they are. Some of them just like to know, hey, I'm close. That's all I need to know. Which side of the fence are you on? Do you know where you're at, or do you kind of like just, hey, just let me know I'm close, and I'll keep working at it, and when I get it, I get it?
I'm definitely one of those people who I have it in my notes, my phones, every game after I know how many points I've scored. I'll go add it up, see how much I need to get there, then what I need to game. I'm one of those.
Tell the fans what they'd want to know. What number are you at? What do you need for 1,000?
At the start of the year, I needed 304 points to get to my 1,000, and now I'm down to 76, I believe, with 9 games to go.
That's with the way you score. That's a couple of games. That's a couple of games. When you it's gonna happen. Like, we're knocking on wood. We're not jinxing you, but it's gonna happen. When that moment happens, and you've worked so hard for it, what do you think is gonna go through your head emotionally when you get that milestone that you've been working for?
Just gonna feel like unreal because I've been working at it since 4 years ago, and it's not gonna feel real. It's something that I think about every single day, and I don't know.
You know, we can't have an interview with you without asking about your family. Obviously, that night name has been pretty present in United Sports for the last several years. What's that like, being in a family that I'm sure is so competitive, but also pushes you to be your best every day?
It's fun, definitely. As you know, my brother Grant, we go at it a lot, but there's also times he'll call me and just ask how my game was and ask like, oh, what do I need to get there? And it's very supporting, but also very pushing to get to where I need to succeed.
What do you and Grant get the most competitive at? Like, what is the one thing that you guys really fight each other on, competitive wise?
Oh, 1v1, like outside basketball. It gets ruthless sometimes. Just trying to prove who can do better.
You know, do you get the best of them more than not?
Yeah, sometimes he lowers the hip to 8 foot and I get dunked on. So
fair is fair, you know. When you think about your family in general, everyone has something about their family that makes it unique and special to them. What is that? What is that for the Knight family? What makes that family for you just seem special and unique in your eyes?
As competitive as it is, it's a very loving family, I feel like, and we each push each other to get our goals, whether it's in sports or academics.
Let's talk about those academic goals as well. Obviously, you're a student athlete. Student comes first in that word for a reason. What have been some of your favorite things to learn, and what are some of your interests as far as studying?
Definitely my biggest interest is definitely like a history or math. I'm not really like the writer person of the family or anything like that, but I feel like those are the subjects that I thrive in.
What is there a teacher in the United school system that has impacted your journey and really made an impact on your life through high school?
We just had our teacher appreciation night actually at our school, and he is our gym PE teacher, but Mr. Williams, he really has just always been there for me and always has made everything a good time, and he was definitely my favorite teacher coming out of United.
You know, people look down on those gym teachers, but one thing they always are good at is coming up with creative ways to make gym fun. You know, no matter what grade you're in, every high school or middle school experience has a silly gym class activity or sport. What's your favorite gym class, activity or sport that United has had under Mr. Williams?
Definitely kickball or tennis baseball, where you use the tennis racket and the tennis ball as a baseball. As always, between our classmates, it was very competitive games.
Now, when it's basketball time in gym class, do you tile it down just a little bit for your classmates, or is it still go time just like a varsity level basketball game against your normal classmates?
Definitely dial it down a little bit, not trying hard, but if there's some people talking trash and I need to do what I need to do, then I do what I need to do.
You know, Grace needs to put them in their place.
Yep.
It's gonna happen. What's your favorite lunch? School lunch?
School lunch. Definitely the breakfast for lunch or spaghetti.
French toast?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's where it's at.
Yes, it is.
Well, we're talking about United. We're talking about lunch and gym class and all the things that you've experienced throughout your schooling career. What makes United feel like home to you? What are some things that about that community and about that school that when you're in it, you just feel like you're at home?
Just the way people show up to you, like show up for you, and like at our games, like we have a very good community that comes and supports.
Let's talk about your future. We don't want you to graduate, but it's going to happen. We want you to graduate, but we don't want you to go.
Yeah.
We don't want you to not be covered at YSN anymore. When you think about your future and your goals in your future, what kind of things come to mind?
Definitely going to college and getting a degree.
Do you know kind of where or what, as far as colleges go, where you want to go, what you want to study, what you want your major to be?
I'm going to go to YSU to major in accounting and minor in business administration.
YSU is close. Are you planning on still having the college kind of experience living on campus, or are you going to be a commuter?
I'm going to live on campus, yeah.
When you live away from home and you're living on campus, what are going to be some of the life skills that you have to learn before you go to that chapter of life?
Definitely the main one is going to be being away from my mom. And I do a lot of my own stuff, but just having that, oh, hey, can you do this for me? Can you do that? Like, I'm going to have to be on my own. I'm going to have to do it by myself. Just having all those responsibilities.
What are some of your hidden talents? I ask a lot of players this because we see so much of your talent come off on the court. We know how talented you are in the athletics. What are some of your hidden talents? What are some other things you're good at outside of sports?
I don't have any hidden talent.
I don't have.
No,
just sports.
I really don't think I have any.
Can you sing?
No.
Can you play any musical instrument?
I can play one song on the piano. That's about it.
I'll take it. It. What song is it?
All of Me by John Legend.
It's a good song.
It is a good song.
It's not like, some people are like, I can play one song and it's chopsticks, ding, 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 ding. No, you
used to be really good at playing the recorder in 4th grade.
There you go. Rock that talent. Okay. Yeah. When you think about, you're graduating, you reflect on all your time at United, what are some of your favorite memories that you've had in the school and with all your athletic achievements?
Just every memory that I have with my friends. It's been a surreal experience of just growing up and being with them, and even within all the sports, everyone was always very close. It was always very fun, and we never didn't have a good time usually.
One of the things that defines a senior when they go is how they left the program, when, how it is after they leave. Who are some leaders that you think you've been watching in practice and that when you graduate, the program's going to be in good hands because they're going to be the next leaders of the future?
Definitely our junior class, Cameron Cody, Allie Lacey, Bailey McKenzie. I feel like they're going to really step up next year when us seniors, we have graduated, and take over and lead our team.
All right, Grace, before we let you go, I want to give you the chance to give a shout out to all your support system, the people that have been there for you throughout your career, and anyone you think deserves to have a light shined on them. I want to give you the time to do so.
Thank you to my friends. Thank you to my family and everyone who just supports me. I really appreciate it.
Grace, we want to thank you so much for giving us the time today and talking to us about your senior season. We can't wait to see where else it goes. We wish you the best of luck. We can't wait to talk to you again real soon.
All right, thank you so much.
Grace Knight from United, and what a great interview. I told you it was a good one. Like I said, a player that has made an impact on that United basketball team for a long time. Feels like she's a 6-year senior, going for a graduate degree in college at this point. But she is a senior for United, and she will be doing great things in her future endeavors. So we want to thank Grace Knight for her time, for giving us that interview, and we wish her and the United Eagles the best of luck moving forward. Let's hop into the scoreboard and go from last night to tonight and see what's going to be on tap in tonight's basketball action. We'll go back to the future. Great Scott, Marty. As we go from the past, I'm actually on the standings page, which is also on ysnlive.com. We were talking about the standings in the AAC. But as we go to the scoreboard, back to ysnlive.com/scores, presented by Burnett Pool Spas and Hot Tubs, and jump into January 18th. The date's there on the bottom if you are lost on the scoreboard page. This is what today's slate looks like. We have Edison going to Beaver Local. Liberty goes to Brookfield. This is a 6 p.m. varsity-only start. Wyndham will host Lordstown. Badger hosting Maplewood. McDonald will be on the road going to Middle Ridge. The Rams trying to keep pace in the MVAC ahead of their second matchup with Springfield later on in the season. Niles goes to Hubbard in the Innie 8 tonight. A big one in the Innie 8 for Poland and Girard. Both teams with one loss in the conference. First place on the line. Winner takes the throne for now and the driver's seat in the conference. Losers one game back, hoping for help to tie up the 88. So huge one going down in Girard. The last time Poland was in Girard, they lost to the Indians last year on the road. Their one and only 88 loss last year to the Indians for the Bulldogs. They gave up a pretty good fight in Poland the first time up, but the Bulldogs did win by 10. So going to be very interesting to see what goes on down there in Girard tonight. South Range making the trip to the Fieldhouse to play a Struthers team that you wouldn't know it by their record, but playing very good basketball right now, almost pulling off the upset. And playing playing really good basketball right now. We go to Springfield and Western Reserve. They're going to be matching up a very important one in the MVAC Scarlet tier. Obviously, the first time these two teams met in the jungle and went into overtime. And the Blue Devils trying to knock down the Tigers. And really, if they did, Middle Ridge would be the biggest cheerleaders for Western Reserve right now. So that should be a fun one down there in Berlin Center between the Blue Devils and Tigers. Wellsville goes to Southern Local tonight inside the EOAC. Matthews travels to Pymatuning Valley. Sebring making the trip to Jackson Milton. We have LeBray going to Newton Falls. United hosting Latonia. East Palestine goes to Valley Christian. Crestview traveling to Camel Memorial. Orange hosting Chagrin Falls. Garrettsville Garfield will be going to Champion. That happened last night, so that actually was originally scheduled for today, but it did get played last night, and I don't know why we have a double of Wellsville and Southern, but they're playing each other there, and the double down there of United and Latonia. It's because it's boys doubleheader. Okay, so boys and girls both playing. Didn't see that usually it's separated, so I didn't see the boys down there at the bottom of that square. Boys and girls doubleheaders both at United and Southern Local. It looks like boys are going to be playing at 5:30 in Southern, and then the girls will be after. And then in United, the boys will play at 7, and the girls will play at 5:30. So both those places, both those EOAC matchups, a boys-girls doubleheader in both. So that should be a fun time in the EOAC. Let's get to your announcer crew and who will be where tonight and who you can watch on ysnlive.com. Hop into our spreadsheet. And let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games on the network tonight. And it starts with Edison at Beaver Local. Gary Burton making the trip to Beaver Local to have that call between the Wildcats and the Beavers, 5:30, and JV 7 o'clock varsity. I will be in Brookfield as Liberty goes there. It's going to be a 6 o'clock varsity only start in Brookfield. The Wyndham School broadcasts are being taken care of at the Bombers hangar. I guess they host Lordstown tonight. Bill Shea going to be in Badger for their matchup with Maplewood. That's also varsity only down there in Kinsman. Steve Hodge going to be making the trip to Middle Ridge for McDonald coming to town. Niles and Hubbard will be covered by Zach Svensson. Ian O'Brien going to be in Girard for the big matchup in the NE8 between the Bulldogs and Indians. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he was on the call last year when the Indians pulled off the upset over Poland. So maybe some really good mojo for Girard in the air. I'm sure Poland's going to send us an email at YSN saying, wait a minute, you're not able to give us that same mojo. But Ian O'Brien in a big game tonight. He's a great broadcaster, and he'll have the call for you at 7 o'clock between Poland and Girard. Bob and Donna Zaney going to have you covered in the field house as South Range comes to town to try to take on Struthers. Springfield at Western Reserve. That one's going to be Ty Bartell. Big game Bartell on the call for that one. Remember, the last matchup went into overtime. So if Ty's on the call and it's a competitive matchup, you best believe it's going to come down to something crazy, because that's just the way Ty Bartell works. So be ready for something awesome to happen tonight in Berlin Center. Wellsville and Southern. Larry Scragg going to be there for the boys and girls doubleheader. So that one will be on the network. From Salineville, Chagrin Falls and Orange will be covered by the school. So you'll be able to see the Lions and Chagrin Falls doing battle. And that is it for our coverage tonight. 1 boys game, 11 girls games, all on the network tonight. YSNlive.com, where you can find them. Make sure to check out all the broadcasts tonight. Going to be a fun one on YSN. And that, my friends, will do it for today's episode of Running Point. Once again, I want to thank Grace Knight for her time giving us that interview to play for you today. Want to thank all of you for tuning in. It's been a fun one. We will be back on Running Point tomorrow from 1 to 2 to recap tonight's big games and to also preview a big Friday night in boys basketball. Of course, we'll have a player profile for you tomorrow too as well. So don't miss tomorrow's episode. 1 to 2 on Running Point. Brought to you as always by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. We'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy